here we are, Mr. Brian Thrift.
What's going on?
The Tackle Warehouse, first look live at ICAST 2023, and we're here with a much anticipated introduction from Minn Kota. We all knew it was coming,
yes,
and it is not going to disappoint. This is the brand new Ultrex Quest trolling motor from Minn Kota. Tell us all about this great new introduction.
This thing is a beast. Fortunately, I got to run it at my very last event, so I've had it for 2 weeks now, and there's so many features in this that's not available anywhere else, all the way from your straight ahead feature, like when I deploy this motor for the first time, I drop it in, it's automatically going to turn straight ahead to get us going, get our day started. But the thrust on this thing is amazing. I'm running 3.8 to 4.2 mile an hour on the trolling motor, which is absolutely ridiculous. Totally brushless technology, super quiet, and there's so many features that they've built into this and so much detail that went into this motor that's not anywhere else. Like, there's no flex in the bracket's beefed up. We've actually got 2 lift assists in there to help us when we're stowing this motor and when we're lowering it in the water. Everything from the detail up to the clips on the cables to keep your wires intact, keep them out of the way, keep everything safe and neat and tucked away. It's all there. It's the total package.
You know, there wasn't much to complain about with the Ultrex.
No, there was not.
We knew there was at some point going to be a brushless model.
Right.
So many benefits from less sonar interference, greater power and longevity.
Yes.
Right? We wanted that. It's here. And a few of those improvements on sound, on function.
Yes. Efficiency. I mean, as bass fishermen, that's a huge goal of a bass fisherman, is to try to become as efficient as they can on the water. And by upgrading to this Minn Kota Ultrex Quest, you're instantly 40% more efficient. You're going to have longer battery life on the water. You're going to be able to go faster, where if you would normally run a traditional Ultrex on 60 or 70%, I'm going to be able to run this motor on 30 or 40%. So I'm way more efficient with this Quest motor than I was with the previous model of the Ultrex.
More casts in a day, I know, is something that appeals to Mr. Brian.
Yes, and faster.
Right.
So even, here's a prime example. Follow me this. So you're on a lake, you're in a nice little cove, you go down this side of the cove, you're like, oh man, there's a beautiful boat dock over here. I want to run over there and slide a jig underneath it. But it's 150 yards across the cove. Put a life jacket on, sit down, hook kill switch up, crank up, idle over there. You're looking at 3 or 4 minutes. Kick this baby on high, I'm going 4 mile an hour across. I can't idle 4 miles an hour.
Right.
So that in itself is a huge advantage.
That's awesome. Really excited to get the experience that you've had, which is getting this thing on a boat and in the water. And tell us a little bit about all the connectivity advantages with this motor,
yes,
right?
So the foot pedal is designed very similar to a traditional Ultrex motor. The only difference we have is it's integrated into the one boat network. So I can pair this with my Minn Kota Raptors and eliminate the stomp switches. So I can eliminate these switches and I can clean up the clutter on the front deck of my boat just by going to this Ultrex Quest. So with my one boat network button, I can press it twice and my Raptors are going to deploy. When they get deployed, I fish, make my cast, cover the area, I'm ready to go. I can press this button once again and raise those Raptors up and continue trolling around with the trolling motor. So it not only is it making you more efficient on the water and you're using your time more valuably, but you're also clearing up some clutter on the front deck of your boat. I mean, let's face it, nowadays guys are running 2, sometimes 3 graphs on the bow. We've got switches for Raptors, we've got trolling motor foot pedals. If you're like me, you've got 20 rods on the deck of the boat. So there's not a lot of room up here, and if I can eliminate something and give myself more room and more workspace, that's going to put more fish in my boat.
So, Brian, for a bass angler, the trolling motor could be it's an extension of yourself, right?
Exactly.
It's maybe your most important piece of equipment other than the rod and reel and bait in your hand.
Exactly.
And so having this great new tool on the front of your boat, I know is going to make you more efficient, going to translate into more casts, more area covered, and more fish and bigger ones in your live well at the end of the day. 100%.
Yeah. I feel better on the water. I've got a bigger workspace. I'm more efficient. I can go faster, quieter, and that's what it's all about. With the technology that Minn Kota's came up with this. With just being able to be faster and be quieter and more efficient on the water is going to put more fish in the boat.
And I heard the efficiency even extends to when you're ready to pick up and go to your next spot. Is that right?
That is exactly right.
Show us.
So this motor actually has a self-righting feature. So when I pull it up, it's going to automatically stow itself where I don't have to touch the foot pedal, and it's going to be ready to go. You can slam it down on the deck, crank the motor up, and go to your next spot.
And you're not going to knock off your Mega Live transducer like I like to do.
You're not going to knock off your Mega Live transducer, and they put so much thought into this Quest motor. It's like things that when they tell me about them, I'm like, really? That's crazy. Like, who thinks about this? Like, I can only imagine the number of hours they spent at a round table figuring out what they wanted to do. Even if you'll look at the shaft of this motor, you can see it's not a traditional round shaft like the Ultrex.
Right.
It's actually got two flat sides, and not only does that provide more strength because this motor is so much stronger and has so much more force, but it also allows you to mount your Mega Live transducer where it's always going to be pointed in the right direction. You can't get it off a couple of degrees because of that flat side on that shaft. So you're always going to be pointed straight where the trolling motor's pointed, and it's going to give you the best picture you can possibly get with the two in conjunction, running that Humminbird Mega Live on the Humminbird Quest trolling motor.
Really everything thought through on that. And while you're talking about sonar, it is available in two different models, right?
Yes, two different models on the Ultrex Quest. We've got the Universal 2D, and we also have the down imaging.
Awesome.
Down
Perfect.
scan.
Perfect for down and side scan. I think.
Yes.
Perfect for whatever you're looking for on the front of your boat. A great new tool here. It's the Minn Kota Ultrex Quest trolling motors from Minn Kota. Brian Thrift, thanks so much for taking us through those.
Appreciate it.